call this meeting of the Paducah Planning and Zoning Commission to order. I ask that you stand with us as we say the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Before we start our actual official business, we have a special guest here tonight, Mayor Bill Paxton, who has requested a little time to make a few comments, and so I'm going to allow him that time.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. I just won't take but a second, but I did not know what was going on tonight, but I wanted to come and honor my friend and colleague, Mr. Danny Key. During the 12 years that I was mayor, Mr. Key helped me on lots of opportunities. Gave me a lot of legal advice, always gave me good legal advice, and I appreciate that very much. Another thing he did was he was always talking to me about potential board members for this board. He always wanted the best that he could get, and I appreciate that very much. The other thing we worked on was I-69 and I-66. Danny was a big believer in I-69 and I-66 and worked hard on that. The funny stories, I guess, real quickly, is that when we'd have disciplinary action with the city commission with a police officer or a fireman, which really didn't happen very often, but we would be at this area right here, and the mayor was considered the judge because there were lawyers involved and for the police officer or for the fireman. And so it was strictly like a judge. Well, you know, I'd forgotten my law school, forgot to go to law school, so I wasn't familiar with that. So they were giving me all these terms and things I needed to do. So Mr. Key sat right behind me. So whenever I needed information, I'd turn to him and I'd say, what does this mean? And he'd give me the advice. And so we got through that. But I appreciate all the years, the 12 years as mayor and the 2 years as city commissioner. And just wanted to come by and say good luck. I think he's going to beat either Earl Schaub or Mr. Whitlow as the longest working lawyer in Paducah. So, but whatever you decide to do, the best of luck, Danny. Appreciate it. Appreciate all your help.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, I think we all second those feelings and appreciate all of the work that you've done for the city of Paducah.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
44 years.
I know, 44 years.
Wow.
44 years. You have been the public servant behind the public servants, giving everybody the information that they need to keep everyone on the straight and narrow.
Well, there was some like Albert Jones. I tried to give him some advice, and Albert decided he was an attorney too, so he would take his own advice.
Dan, thank you so much for your service. Mr. Summer, would you call the roll, please?
Mr. Benberry.
Here.
Mr. Bradford. Mr. Morrison.
Here.
Ms. Shramke. Mr. Shadle.
Here.
Mr. Wade.
Here.
Chair Casillas.
Here. Mr. Shadle, you have the minutes motion, please.
Yes, I do. I move that the meeting of the minutes for June 3rd, 2019 be waived, and that the minutes of said meeting as prepared by the secretary be approved as written.
Second.
Second by Mr. Morrison.
Oh, Benberry.
Benbury, I'm sorry.
Okay.
I'm sorry. You were so quiet.
Yeah,
It was
it
hard to
sounded
tell.
like-
There might have been a mix-up on your minutes. I'm not sure that.
Actually, the one I have says June 3rd.
Okay.
So we're fine.
Yes.
All right, good.
Okay. Call the roll, please.
Mr. Shadle.
Aye.
Mr. Wade.
Aye.
Mr. Benberry.
Aye.
Mr. Morrison.
Aye.
Chair Casillas.
Aye. Our first item of business, which is the continued case of 201 and 217 Red Fox Trail, is still not ready for us to hear, so we will continue this item of business until they can get the plat ready for us. Our next item of business, Mr. Wade, Sherwood Road and Marlboro Way.
Okay, I'm in the right order. I move that this commission adopt a resolution forwarding a positive recommendation to the city commission to vacate a portion of Mayfair Place between 3634 Sherwood Road and 3690 Marlboro Way.
Second.
Second by Morrison.
This is just the very end of Mayfair Place. It's grass and trees. Nobody's using it right now. There is a new single-family home proposed at 3634 Sherwood, which would utilize half of their closed right-of-way. And Mr. Mundy is here to answer any further questions you may have.
There appears to be something. Is that some construction, or what am I saying on there?
That's a tennis court.
No, I know what tennis,
Oh.
there's a little, I'm sorry, you can't see from there.
Oh, there's a trailer that was parked there whenever I was out there. This was done in 2013,
Okay.
but there was still
Very small
a,
structure.
yes, that is a trailer
Okay.
of some sort.
It's not there any longer?
No,
Okay. But it's movable either way?
yes, it's on
Okay,
wheels.
Fine. Thank you.
Any comments, questions? Call the roll, please.
Mr. Wade,
Aye.
Mr. Benberry,
Aye.
Mr. Morrison,
Aye.
Mr. Shadle,
Aye.
Chair Casillas.
Aye. Mr. Benberry, you have 301 and 305 North 6th Street.
Yes, ma'am. Move this commission receive and file the application of Louise Randall Estate and TIG Properties LLC for the proposed subdivision of property located at 301 and 305 North 6th Street. I further move that the requested waiver of the public hearing and the dedication of streets be given and approval of the submitted plat be approved.
Second.
Second by Mr. Shadle.
There is a sunroom and porch proposed on this home. The property owners own the vacant lot and this lot, which is a relatively small lot. The HARC is already approved, the addition pending approval of the waiver. And Mr. Garner can answer any further questions you all may have.
Not much else to add. As you see, the property line that we're abolishing is kind of in the middle. We've got two 40-foot lots, and we're going to make it 80 feet, so we can have a little bit more room and not have to build over a property line. So that's basically it.
Thank you for coming to take care of this business before they build over the property. Thank you.
It works a little bit better.
Yes, it does. Any more questions or comments? Call the roll, please.
Mr. Benberry,
Aye.
Mr. Morrison,
Aye.
Mr. Shadle,
Aye.
Mr. Wade,
Aye.
Chair Casillas.
Aye. Mr. Shadle, you have the Independence Bank of Kentucky, 3801 Hinkleville Road.
Yes. I move that this commission receive and file the application of Independence Bank of Kentucky for the proposed re-subdivision of property located at 3801 Hinkleville Road. I further move that the requested waiver of the public hearing and the dedication of streets be given, and approval of the submitted plat be approved.
Second.
Second by Morrison.
The Board of Adjustment just voted on this prior to you all to allow a variance for the new property line to be established. As I mentioned to them, according to fire prevention, they do need to remove that breezeway, which they're going to do. This plat will establish that property line and a new ingress-egress easement to get back to the new lot. Mr. Gardner can answer any questions on this one as well.
I think most of you are here when I spoke to the Board of Adjustments, so I don't want to bore you, but I mean, we're basically dividing This is the old Fleming Furniture property. I'm sure you're well aware of it and the situations. Has two different buildings on it, with the back one being the warehouse and the front one being the commercial building where they actually sold things. It has a breezeway between it that is going to be removed and abolished, and then we are striking that new property line exactly halfway in between the two buildings and having a 30-foot access easement going back to track 2. The back portion of the building, not the actual building, but the back portion of the property is in a flood zone. The front's fine.
The only question I would have would be one of safety, a safety issue. It's a pretty steep incline to get out of that property. Semi-trailer trucks going back and forth to that warehouse?
They do, because I've seen them back there when I bought furniture back there. The semis will come back there and load up in the back. But I don't know. There is a nice shoulder off Highway 60 that they can pull off and get off and make that turn. It's got, the entrance does have some pretty good radiuses on it, where it doesn't tie up traffic too bad.
Any other questions, comments?
We have somebody here.
Sorry,
I could address that. We
please.
are, so I can-
Please, come on up to.
My name is Jim Swick, and we have if everything goes well, we have a contract to purchase the warehouse, and we will be bringing Lakewood Gymnastics in there. So from the back, there will be no cement or semi trucks
Right,
unless
that's
we
a
have.
good answer.
So I just wanted to clear that up. So thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? Anyone else need to speak about this property? Call the roll, please.
Mr. Shadle?
Aye.
Mr. Wade?
Abstain.
Mr. Benberry?
Aye.
Mr. Morrison?
Aye.
Chair Casillas?
Aye. Mr. Wade, you have 1215, 1223, and 1227 Lone Oak Road, the ingress and egress. Read the first portion.
You're talking about this one first? Or that one first?
No, this one's first.
That's what I thought.
Yeah, that one's first.
I move that this commission adopt a resolution striking development plan condition number 9 as amended on February 5th, 1996. The original development plan condition will therefore be restored to read, number 9, ingress and egress shall be limited to those locations as approved by the Planning Commission.
Second.
Second by Benberry.
The Planning Commission looked at this at our last meeting. Staff didn't know it at the time, but the two adjacent property owners had been discussing a shared egress easement. That alleviated some of staff's concerns where they're not going to be requesting additional curb cuts into those properties. There's two parts to this motion. The first is to strike that actual language, and since it will revert back to approval by the Planning Commission, staff is requesting that ingress egress point be in the closed Poplar Street. That is also shown on your site plan provided by Mr. Mundy. And that'll be for the benefit of 1227 and 1311 Lone Oak Road. Mr. Mundy, I'm guessing you'd like to add anything?
I'll take any comments, or Ms. Simmons may want to. She represents the property owner. We've revised the site plan that I think city engineer has requested a 36-foot entrance. I'm assuming for one way in, a left turn and a right turn coming out. But there shouldn't be any troubles putting an entrance in this location. That the Poplar Street is a utility easement, the whole width, but there won't be any structures or anything, and the grading shouldn't be that bad too to disrupt anything that's underground.
So he's only requiring 36 instead of 40?
Well, the entrance itself is 36 foot, and then
Okay,
the closed right-of-way was 40 foot.
okay. But actual pavement would be 36.
Actual pavement would be 36.
The planning commission had also asked about a traffic study. If it was approved, staff spoke with the city engineer, and a traffic study will not be needed at this time.
And my clients are here, the Gibson Eye Center and Pete Sturm, and they are in agreement with this. And Dr. Crawford, he is in Florida, but they have been in contact, and so have I, and he's still agreeable to the shared access. He's in agreement it would be beneficial for his remaining lot, or lots. And they're still negotiating terms of cost, but I think this afternoon they have all that worked out. We were wanting some additional, there was a request for shared signage easement, and we were
Yes.
curious where that would need to be, and
It can be on either side of the ingress egress easement, and that's for the benefit of both property owners as well, for a couple things, to reduce sign clutter going down Lone Oak Road. We would prefer to have one sign as opposed to, each individual lot having their own as they develop down the road. That way we're not getting into a situation like further up Lone Oak where each individual lot has signs sticking out. It's simply to reduce that sign clutter.
do you all have any other questions about the signage?
I just want to clarify, I'm Pete Sturm, I'm interested in buying the property. On the signage, you're saying either or just one side or the other as far as the signage goes?
Either side is going to be fine
Okay.
with us.
But just one sign?
But one
that
sign.
could
Yeah, one
go-
sign.
And I'm,
One sign.
Sure.
what I plan on doing, one sign will work great.
Okay.
But my question is, if it's on my side of the development, then whatever comes down the road, they're going to have access to that signage as well, I'm assuming.
That's what the
Yeah,
easement's
that's
for.
what would be the,
Okay.
yeah, the easement would allow them to
Okay.
put their sign up there
Okay.
as well.
And it's
And
all,
they would have to comply with their regulations. So
All right.
Sign
it
regulations.
would be basically the same size, correct?
It could be multi-business, I
Yes.
assume.
Yes.
Could be a
That's the
monument
goal.
sign.
Yeah.
but there is,
So
what,
do
a
you-
10 feet height max, is that what it is, if I'm not mistaken?
12, I
It's
believe,
12, okay.
are 4.
Okay, all right, thank you.
So we thank you for that proposal.
At the previous meeting, Dr. Crawford was here. Since we continued to this, is that his testimony?
Yes, yes.
Shared easement.
Any other comments, questions? Call the roll, please.
Mr. Wade?
Aye.
Mr. Benberry?
Aye.
Mr. Morrison?
Aye.
Mr. Shadle?
Aye.
Chair Casillas?
Aye. Now we have a second item that we must deal with.
I move that the ingress egress point for property located at 1227 and 1311 Lone Oak Road be made in the closed right-of-way of Poplar Street for the benefit of both property owners. Said ingress egress point shall not connect to the alley.
Second.
Second by Shadle. Is that pretty clear? Any questions about that? Call the roll, please.
Mr. Wade?
Aye.
Mr. Benberry?
Aye.
Mr. Morrison?
Aye.
Mr. Shadle?
Aye.
Chair Casillas?
Aye. If there is no further business to come before the commission tonight, we stand adjourned.